Prime Minister Keir Starmer has taken decisive action against London Mayor Sadiq Khan over his persistent criticism of Brexit. Khan, a vocal opponent of the UK's departure from the EU, is now facing significant political fallout for defying the Labour Party's official stance on the matter. Determined to maintain party unity and uphold post-Brexit policies, Starmer has distanced himself from Khan's remarks and is reportedly considering disciplinary measures against the mayor for his defiance. Khan has repeatedly asserted that Brexit was a mistake, advocating for the restoration of student mobility between the UK and the EU. He argues that such initiatives would benefit young people and economies on both sides of the Channel without crossing political boundaries. As part of his efforts, Khan is scheduled to meet with the EU ambassadors on Tuesday, February 25, engaging with representatives from all 27 EU member states. During the meeting, he is expected to reaffirm his belief in strengthening European ties, which he sees as a way to counter potential trade barriers from the United States. In a recent statement, Khan identified himself as a proud European and reiterated his view that Brexit has had lasting negative consequences, not only for the UK, but also for the broader European community. He is pushing for policies that would facilitate easier access for young Europeans to visit the UK, a stance that directly contradicts Labour's official position. Starmer has made it clear that such comments are unacceptable, particularly given the Labour government's commitment to respecting the Brexit referendum result. Sources close to Downing Street suggest that the Prime Minister views Khan's ongoing criticism as a direct challenge to his leadership and a distraction from Labour's broader objectives. Reports indicate that Starmer has privately warned Khan against undermining the party's position. However, the London mayor remains steadfast in promoting his pro-European agenda, escalating tensions within Labour ranks. Khan has also expressed support for a new mobility initiative aimed at fostering economic growth across Europe, while offering young Londoners and Europeans valuable cultural experiences. Despite these arguments, senior Labour officials have criticised his actions, accusing him of jeopardising the party's delicate balancing act on Brexit. There are indications that Starmer is considering punitive measures, such as stripping Khan of key political privileges or obstructing his future ambitions within the party. A Labour leadership insider stated that there is no room for statements that contradict the party's official policies. Khan's planned meeting with EU ambassadors and representatives from all 27 EU member states has drawn scrutiny from Labour leadership, with critics arguing that his push for closer EU ties constitutes an unauthorised diplomatic move, despite suggestions that he should temper his remarks, especially following his warning about the resurgence of fascism under former US President Donald Trump. Khan remains resolute in expressing his views. Sources indicate that Starmer's patience is wearing thin, and that disciplinary action may follow if Khan continues to challenge party messaging. At the meeting, Khan is expected to call on the government to support a youth mobility scheme with the EU, advocating for a programme that would allow individuals under 30 to live, work, and study across the UK and Europe. However, this proposal clashes with Starmer's commitment to ensuring that Brexit measures remain intact. Labour strategists fear that Khan's comments could be weaponised by opposition parties to create divisions within the government. Speaking to Sky News, Khan insisted that his stance does not contradict Starmer's position, arguing that the Prime Minister had never endorsed a youth mobility scheme or rejoining the single market. However, insiders close to Starmer believe Khan's remarks border on outright rebellion. The mayor has emphasised that a Labour government provides an opportunity to reset relations with the EU and contends that closer alignment would be more beneficial than further divergence from the UK's closest trading partners. Starmer, however, has ruled out any actions that could be perceived as reversing Brexit, a stance that has deepened the rift between him and the London mayor. While Starmer acknowledges London's global status and the importance of attracting investment, tourism, and EU citizens, Government sources suggest he may sideline Khan in key discussions as a consequence of his continued defiance. Though the government has recognized the need to improve relations with the EU, it has ruled out rejoining the single market, the customs union, or reinstating freedom of movement. Labour insiders warn that any proposal to reintroduce EU mobility schemes would be politically toxic, potentially alienating Brexit-supporting voters. Nevertheless, Khan remains committed to advocating for the scheme and exploring ways to simplify the process for EU schoolchildren to visit the UK. His persistent defiance may come at a significant political cost, with sources indicating that Starmer is prepared to take drastic measures to limit Khan's influence within Labour. The mayor's position on Brexit could ultimately reshape the party's internal power dynamics in the years ahead. In a separate speech, Khan addressed concerns about freedom of expression in Britain and Europe, responding to claims from the Trump administration regarding free speech. He asserted that he was free to express his views, emphasizing that freedom of speech remains alive in the UK. He also reiterated his belief in strengthening EU ties, particularly as a means to mitigate potential trade conflicts with the US.